So good. Right now, we're talking about Charlie Kirk. I don't want to waste time. I just want to go directly to what I have in mind because it's been a very sad one. Oh man, this time 2 days ago, Charlie Kirk was still alive, full of life, speaking his truth, retweeting, handling his business the way he usually did. And it's sad right now, very before Charlie Kirk was murdered, in a very I won't call it strange, but it seemed to be the new normal at this point, and I don't want to believe that the world is has got used to so much darkness and lack of humanity. But then it's what it is. I'm talking about a 31-year-old man, young man for that matter, father of two, who for the past 12 years has given and dedicated his life to pushing the truth. All he needed to speak was the truth. Charlie Kirk, in my opinion, was one of those guys who had unwavering love for the truth. Regardless of who stood before him, Charlie Kirk always spoke the truth to power. And it's just sad, man. And my heart goes out, my heart and actually my prayers to go out to the family and loved ones of Charlie Kirk because it's an irreparable loss, a really heartbreaking one. And it's sad that, the world has come to this point, particularly American society. This was a young man that was touring universities trying to right the wrongs of the left. I mean, instilling values into, people through the discussion of common sense. And sometimes when I used to listen to Charlie Kirk, I'm talking about weeks and months back, you listen to him, and the first thing that hit you is that this guy is actually discussing things that shouldn't even be discussed in the first place. These are things that should be common sense to the normal man. And then you see people debating, and that's the reason he was killed. We'll still talk about all of that. So once again, I welcome you here, and please do well to like, share, comment, subscribe, and turn on your post notification bell because we are here for the long run. Yeah, I really appreciate what you guys have been doing, the support you guys have been showing. For a little while, we went on a hiatus, but let's dive in right already. Now we've seen this discussion. I don't know how many of you, saw that clip. I'm sure a lot of you did see it, especially on Twitter. It's all over the world right now, and it's just I wish I could unsee it. Sincerely, I totally regret seeing that image, that picture, both the pictures and then the video. It's been playing in my mind for the past 2 days, and it's crazy. I just wonder how his family is doing. I wonder how the loved ones have been able to sleep, and even importantly, I wonder how the left. Yeah, the left. I wonder how they sleep at night. I really do wonder because I've seen the kind of comments I've seen over the past 24 hours have been nothing short of crazy, nothing short of inhumane. Charlie Kirk was one of those people who I feel, I know anybody who believes in something will have to stand for it very, very vehemently. But when it comes to humanity, when it comes to the loss of life, when it comes to the loss of a father, when it comes to the loss of a husband, these are central discussions. There's no left or there's no right. Everybody's a human. And it's expected that we all come together. There's a point where we come together and we're just like, oh, sorry about the loss, regardless of what we believe in, regardless of what we stand for. But we've seen people on the left, celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk. And it's crazy. I've read comments, particularly on TikTok, where they were like, oh, Charlie Kirk and his family and his wife and his children too should have been shot. And it's just heartbreaking. It blows my mind to believe or to see that, we're at this point. The world is still full of so many barbarians, and sadly, many of them are of the left. These are truths. And for this same reason, rather, Charlie Kirk was killed. It's a really very bad situation. And I feel that people need to do better. This has nothing to do with being on the left or the right. This has nothing to do with being conservative. Regardless of our beliefs, the loss of human life should be, those are one of those basic things that this isn't something we should even discuss in the first place. And it's really very heartbreaking. Really very heartbreaking. Children having to live life without the father. They only get to read from the news and the internet probably what they talk about. They'll hear people talk about their father's exploits as expected, but then they will never get to experience, have memorable, moments with their father. And a woman lost her husband in his prime. It's a really very sad situation, and I just pray that God, gives the family the fortitude to bear that kind of loss. It's one of the worst things that can happen to anybody, and thank God we've seen the likes of President Trump really throw his weight behind supporting the family. But then I just wish we could be more humane. On the other hand, we've seen the left celebrate that death and what have you. We'll still talk about that probably on our next live. But we've also seen that many Democrats have come to see the left for what they are or for who they really are. I mean, we've seen senators talk about gun rights when somebody was killed. This is a time to to commiserate to the family and just feel sad for them. But we've seen, of course, the left will always drive their narrative, and it's heartbreaking, really heartbreaking. But then this drives me to one of the basic points. I mean, is this really one of the prices to pay, or is this really the price to pay for truth? We can now see that when somebody comes out to speak the truth, they'll most likely lose something. There's always something to be lost. I mean, if Charlie Kirk wasn't saying something that was, of great importance, of, weight, he probably wouldn't have been killed. I can't remember when last a transsexual was killed. I mean, I'm going to be talking about these very sensitive discussions. Let's have them, because it's obvious that if discussions like this keep going on, people must make up their minds that at some point they're going to lose something. Probably they will lose public acceptance. They might lose money. They might get demonetized on several social media platforms, and the extreme, they might actually lose their lives, just like Charlie Kirk had done. I heard some people. I read comments very recently, and someone was like, "Charlie Kirk didn't do well with the security," and I'm like, "Are you all crazy?" Charlie Kirk actually, had security men everywhere around. I mean, his environment was secure. He had bodyguards and all of that, but it wasn't good enough because that was a 200-yard shot, and whoever shot that, trust me, was a professional. Now, about some people also say that so someone from his team and all of that, but I don't believe in that actually, because I mean anyone can be contracted to carry out that heinous crime, but on the other hand, can still be someone from within. And I hope that the FBI carries out very serious investigation to know who or the people behind this. Back to what I was talking about, how much are we on the left, or sorry, how much are we on the right willing to pay as regards the price to say the truth? And regardless of what we think, the truth must be spoken. And it's just heartbreaking, really sad. This man was 31, two children. The children have become fatherless, and once again, a wife is widowed. And this really has made me remember all the time we've seen the likes of Andrew Tate and Candace always come out, to always put out a disclaimer every time they're like, if you follow Andrew Tate and Candace Owens, you will agree with me that they always say stuff like, "I'm happy with my marriage. I'm not angry. I'm not sad. I'm not depressed. I'm not going to die. I don't feel like dying." And whenever they put out stuff like that, people always kind of mock them or call them out for, crying foul, too much, crying wolf rather. And we've come to see that that was part of the defense mechanism. We always see Candace Owens, particularly when she was talking about Brigitte Macron and other very important or sensitive discussions. She always comes out to tell people, "Oh, I'm not angry, I'm not sad, I'm not unhappy with my life, I don't feel like dying yet. In case anything happens to me, just know that they took me out." And this is probably one of those reasons, one of the many reasons that they put out all those dead disclaimers, because they know how much the left or the establishment, could go to silence them. This is heartbreaking, really very sad. And I hope Americans get to take out time to pray for the families of this bereaved. Such a huge loss, such a huge loss. But then when we get to talk about this, one of the things that come to mind is the Israeli connection. We've been seeing people talk about it, but then these are claims that cannot be substantiated as we speak. But over the past few weeks, we saw rather, Charlie Kirk get to talk about Israel, and he touched on very sensitive discussions. And I really hope that this killing will not kind of discourage people from coming out to call out Israel. And there was something he said in one of the clips I watched very recently, that was yesterday, where he allegedly, alleged that Israel set up the October 7th killing and what have you. He stated it very clearly that he felt it was a setup. More so, weeks before then, 2 weeks before the shooting, Bibi Netanyahu, that's the Prime Minister of Israel, called him. And the question is, what connection did he have with these people? What did he know? What information was he privileged to have that the rest of the world didn't, or the rest of the world actually doesn't, that they thought to silence him over? It had nothing to do with, in my opinion, rather, it had nothing to do with his discussion about transsexuals and you know the school tells. I mean, he did all of that, and was trying to instill values in the young people. But I particularly feel that this thing has a connection, a strong connection with his the secrets about Israel. Remember, Candace Owens always talks about it, that Israel is literally powering or literally trying to, manage everything in the US through President Trump. And this is not me trying to call out President Trump. I actually don't believe that angle, that point of view. But then it goes to say that there is a lot that these people are not talking about. There is a lot that this influencer, that's Charlie Kirk, knew that the rest of the world doesn't. And probably if they left him alive, he would have gone on to, expose them. Because over the past 3 weeks, particularly, there had been a push to talk more, to call out Israel's presence in the US, directly and indirectly. Just think about this for a moment. What did Charlie Kirk know that the other influencers didn't? He kept on talking about it, and you would recall that he said something, that if there's any reason that he will be killed, it's because of his connection with Israel, due to the information he had about Israel. And it's just sad. It's just sad. I agree, he was on the right, used to call out different, abnormalities in the system, particularly in the US and then in the world at large. But then we know clearly that this thing has something to do with Israel. And I find this very sad, because I just hope and pray that this thing will not dissuade the rest of the world or the other powerful influencers from speaking up. Because if someone like Charlie Kirk can be killed right on the spot, it's one of the best ways to send a proper message to the rest of the world and rest of the influencers. Anybody speaking against Israel, speaking against the establishment, should get ready to pay the eternal price, to pay the highest price, which is killing them. And like I said before, anyone that's saying that it was an internal, an internal movement, an internal arrangement, cannot substantiate that claim. Obviously, that was from over 200 yards away. That thing was precision shot. It was a headshot, and it was so good. I must tell you, that guy has to be a pro, either as a soldier or someone in the forces. Cannot take that away. And more importantly, I'm sure you guys also will also recall, the hand signals. Now, some people might call us, conspiracy theories, but you cannot debate the fact that these things are clear. We saw the cap signals, and when I went on to check everything that was said, it's obvious that that guy was signaling. The guy that was actually recording, probably I'll replay a clip so you guys get to see it. Both the guy that was giving a hand signal with his cap, and then the other that was touching his right arm. And I hope the FBI will not overlook all those, clear points. Now, this is not me saying that they did anything. I mean, could have been happenstance, but these things seem to arrange to be a coincidence. What is really happening? Now, let's go away from all of that. Let's talk about the prediction. Let's talk about the book that was released 2 days, or rather a day before Charlie Kirk was shot, on Amazon. And right after the shooting, it was cleared, and the archives of that book were not found on Amazon. So what is really happening? Someone has got to explain. Someone has got to have answers to all of this. Is the world really on a script? They tell us not to talk about the Matrix and all of that, but this is the truth. There has to be an establishment. There have to be some people, some higher ups, who just want to control, whose greatest joy is influence. Controlling people. People cannot say whatever they want to say. People cannot move wherever they want to move. People cannot think the way they want to think. We're all allowed to have a general thought. And anybody that tries to act outside the system is killed or silenced. Talk about Andrew Tate. Talk about Candace Owens. Now we are seeing it in real time. Charlie Kirk. He has paid the eternal price for speaking up. And how many more to go? Can the FBI do a proper or a thorough search, thorough investigation? Or that book, Anastasia something, I mean, that's the writer of the book. But whatever the case is, it was put up there, and if the FBI actually wants to carry out proper or thorough investigations, they will. And this is why I feel a lot of people do not trust Kash Patel. Yes, his history in the past does not support people on the right giving him support, like trusting him, to carry out thorough investigation. From what we have seen, I do not trust, and a lot of people have also said the same thing, that do not trust Kash Patel to, put out the truth, to do a thorough investigation. And let me be very clear, in my opinion, I feel Kash Patel is also on the left, working for the establishment, and this is the truth. Both Kash Patel and Pambondi. I'm putting it out clear, and this is my opinion, but from what I have seen, it's obvious that these guys do not seem to be do not seem like people that can be trusted. I know you all may not agree with what I'm saying here. Some of you may call me conspiracy theorist, but this is just the truth. I do not believe Kash Patel has what it is or what it takes to carry out a thorough investigation, because he too, I suspect rather, is on the left. Let's not talk about the Epstein list and all of that, but this is what I believe, and forgive me if I stand by it, because at this point, you see, we believe that truth is relative. So let's all agree that some might agree that Kash Patel can carry out a thorough investigation, but from what I can see, from what I have understood, from what I've deduced, Kash Patel is obviously working for the left, and it might be disguised for now, but on the long run, we'll get to see everything for ourselves. And talking about the killing of Charlie Kirk, this was one of those sure plans to silence the truth, and not just to silence the truth, to scare people from speaking in the future. But these people have made they've made the greatest mistake of their lives, because they fail to realize that truth cannot stay hidden so far as under the sun. And I wonder who gave them the idea, probably to conceal the facts concerning, or the mystery surrounding the attack, the October 7 attack in Gaza, of the Jewish people and all of that. But the fact still remains that the truth must come out. And for a moment, they might deter the likes of Candace Owens from carrying out thorough investigations and what have you, but it will not stop the truth from coming out. I actually believe that it has caused people to press on, and it's even dissuaded some Democrats, because I feel that Charlie Kirk, if he was alive, most likely would, at some point in his life, would have run for presidency. Now, this is me just putting it out there. I feel Charlie Kirk was one of those people that eventually would have either run for Senate, or Senate was too small, actually. I feel he would have run for presidency, because he had all it takes. And it's just sad. It's just sad. It's just sad. We are in a world, America is believed to be the center of free speech. So in a situation where free speech is stifled, it's not a good thing, I must say. It's really not a good thing. Like I've been saying it since I started this, it is heartbreaking. But then again, the truth, so far there's God, and there are human beings that believe in God like I do. Trust me, the truth cannot be hidden. The truth cannot stay hidden. And off of this, although the plan was to deter people from speaking the truth and to cover up whatever kind of worms that was about to be exposed, the death or the shooting of Charlie Kirk will give rise to more truth talkers, people that will speak the truth just the way it is, without fear or favor. And the world should get ready for what is coming. I am telling you, the world should get ready for what is coming, because the likes of Charlie Kirk, I'm not just talking about Candace Owens, we're talking about a new generation. University students, fresh graduates, and all of that. People will come out to call out the left, because this wickedness has to be exposed for what it is. The establishment has to be exposed. On several platforms, you cannot call out the deep state without getting banned or shadow banned. Who are these people? Who are these people really? Someone needs to say this. The powers that be think they can stay in one room in a boardroom and control the lives of millions of people, of hundreds of millions of people, control billions, control the Federal Reserves, and no one will talk. That's the same reason they wanted to kill Donald Trump. The same reason the Obama Gate case has not been unearthed. Several discussions. The same reason the Hillary Clinton case cannot be nipped in the bud, because people know what they can say or what they should say. People know what. In fact, the fact remains that everybody around Hillary Clinton can expose her, but they know they will die. The question is this: why expose Hillary Clinton when you know you're going to die? And this is the reason. For this same reason, Charlie Kirk was killed. But then there's a very interesting twist to this, and I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist here, but I'm just saying everyone needs to be very careful, especially the influencers both on the left and on the right, because people on the left particularly would think this, or when we try to like craft or script this to script the attack on Charlie Kirk to look like, how will I call it? I want to put it in the best way possible. They'll make this thing look like an insidious plan from a foreign organization. And most likely they would want to take out people on the left. I'm talking about influencers on the left. I mean, it's the least they could do. And by so doing, people on the right will feel like, like the battlefield has been evened out. But that in itself will not solve the situation, will not solve the problem. Everybody needs to start asking the core questions. How did this happen? Why did this happen? And even more, how come there was a prediction about the death of Charlie Kirk before his death? A day before. Who was the agent used? Some say it's an internal arrangement, some say it's external, but whatever it is, the fact still stands that there was a lot to lose. Charlie Kirk was not just Charlie Kirk did not shake the left to the point of getting killed by talking to students, university grads. No, there was something he knew about a very substantial case. I'm talking about the Israeli connection. He had an Israeli connection. And even more, I'm not trying to once again, I'm not even afraid of being called a conspiracy theorist, but we must put this out here very clearly. What was Charlie Kirk's connection with Benjamin Netanyahu? I mean, Candace Owens has been talking about the Israeli thing long before him, and she wasn't killed. She wasn't murdered. Her house was not boggled. Why was this guy the main target? What did he know? What did he understand? And he had talked about being attacked before now. So the question is this: who's next? Really, who is next? And why is the left so satisfied? Why are the left senators very keen on celebrating? I'm not just senators, we're talking about Democrats, we're talking about everyday people. Why are they very big on celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk? It's really one of those moments where we really need to, do some thinking and deep thinking and just ask ourselves the necessary questions. Is this what life is all about, really? That's one. Two, is this truth what being said? And three, how much can you really, what's the most you can pay? What price can you pay for the truth? For Charlie Kirk, he has paid the eternal price, his life. And in one of those clips I saw about Charlie Kirk, he talked very clearly about not being afraid to die. And if he dies today, if he actually goes to see his maker, he'll be proud, knowing that he spoke the truth without fear. Indeed, Charlie Kirk was a man ahead of his time. He was a man, in my opinion, that gained the respect and the love of a lot of people in the political class and in the common class. Charlie Kirk was a man who was bold. Just 31 years, achieving so much for himself. That means he started this turning point something when he was probably around 12, around 18 or thereabout. Achieved so much, got married, had 2 children, and was doing so well for himself. What is the establishment afraid of? It's almost impossible to separate the death of Charlie Kirk from some of the things he has spoken about, or some of the things he's talked about, particularly the Israeli activity in Gaza. The October 7th genocide. I just wish that we had people who we could hold accountable. I know Donald Trump is really doing his best, but when you have the likes of Kash Patel as FBI director and Pam Bondi as, the DOJ, it's. I want to know in the comment section, do you really believe in these people? I know Pam Bondi and both the FBI director and Pam Bondi were not Trump's first choice. I personally do not believe in their ability to, unearth these truths. And it's just heartbreaking that this young man was taken out of this earth in his prime. Because he decided to speak the truth to power. Or even better, he decided to tell the public about the dark side of the left. And I want to tell you guys, for every Trump, for every Charlie Kirk that was killed, I have a who refused to cower to the whims and caprices of the dark side of life, who refused to bow to darkness and the wickedness that the left portrays. They've been celebrating. Maybe later on we'll talk about, Senator Lohan and all of that. But for now, we're just talking about this young lady, this young man, Charlie Kirk, and it's really sad. Really, really sad. So far, I'd like to know what you all think in the comments. Please do well to like, share, comment, subscribe, and turn on your post notification bell. Until our next clip, please keep staying sensible. Peace out, fam.